Today's training will be over communicating with and seeking direction from supervisors. This training will cover task list item E1, effectively communicate with a supervisor in an ongoing manner, and E2, actively seek clinical direction from supervisor in a timely manner. This training program is based on the RBT task list and is designed to meet the 40-hour training requirement for RBT certification. The program is offered independent of the BACB. The agenda for today is to first go over communicating with a supervisor, task list item E1, then cover seeking direction from a supervisor, task list item E2, and then finish with a video. Now we'll move into the first topic, effectively communicate with a supervisor in an ongoing manner. Communication is a two-way street. You must act as a listener and as a speaker. Therefore, you must utilize receptive skills as well as expressive skills. These are skills that are often worked on and taught with our clients. But to be effective in communicating with your supervisor, you must also be skilled in the areas of receptive and expressive language as well. Receptive language are those listener skills. In regards to communicating with your supervisor, you need to be able to follow their directions. They may give you written instructions, such as instructions to follow when implementing a program, or they could give you oral instructions while they are providing supervision. You should also be able to take in the information that is given to you by your supervisor. This information should not be going in one ear and out the other. As they are giving you instructions, you should be taking the time to fully understand what they are saying. Lastly, you should also show receptive skills by implementing feedback that is given to you. If your supervisor expresses to you that you should be marking the prompt level on your data sheet instead of just marking it as incorrect, you should then make changes to your behavior to show that you are implementing that feedback. Maintaining performance after receiving positive feedback is also a way to show those receptive skills. For example, if your supervisor compliments your pacing, you should be striving to maintain similar pacing. Expressive skills are those speaker skills. There are a variety of things that you should be providing information about to your supervisor. You should be giving information about your client's functioning and progress. This should be summarized to your supervisor when supervision occurs. You should highlight any important changes, such as procedures where no progress is being made, or any procedures that the client is mastering. You should also report to your supervisor any concerns that you notice. For example, if you notice that your client is becoming dependent on your prompts, this would be important to let your supervisor know. You should also report any incidents that you've had with the client. This could include any instances of aggression or aggressive behaviors against you or others, any concerns that you have about the client's well-being, etc. Another example could be if you are working on potty training, it would be important to note any accidents that the client has had. You should update your supervisor on anything that the client's caregivers have reported to you. For example, a parent may mention to you that your client is now taking a new medication, and you should let your supervisor know about this. Lastly, you should also report to your supervisor any coworker or workplace issues that may have arisen. This could include issues that you've noticed in the home that may be affecting treatment, as well as any issues that may affect your ability or other coworkers' ability to provide treatment. All communication with your supervisor should be done using ABA terminology. It is important to maintain your use of the principles and ensuring that we are remaining objective and behavior analytic in our treatment. Question: what two skills are involved in communication? Make sure to fill this question in on your homework sheet, and I'll give you some time to do so. The answer to the previous question, what two skills are involved in communication, are receptive and expressive. Receptive refers to listener skills, and expressive refers to speaker skills. On your homework sheet, fill in the answer receptive and expressive. I'll give you some time to get that answer filled in. When communicating with supervisors, it is essential to know and understand boundaries. Supervisors will be providing supervision during approximately 5 to 10% of your scheduled hours. Therefore, it is important to focus on the important aspects and utilize the time that you have. Make sure to respect their time and their responsibilities that they have. It is important to know when it is appropriate to talk and when you should allow them time to observe or perform other tasks. If you are ever unsure, just ask your supervisor how they would like to spend their supervision time. And you should always be maintaining professional boundaries. The main priority should always be the client. Since you are providing the direct care to the client, it is more than appropriate to express your own opinion about any of the treatment. When expressing your opinion, you should use a healthy amount of assertiveness. Be sure to not come off as rude in your approach, and always be objective in your reasoning. You should, however, also understand your role in complying with your supervisor's treatment planning. They have much experience and education in this area. If you are ever unsure of why a treatment is being conducted in a specific way, you can and should ask for rationale to further your understanding. Question: your supervisor wants to use a progressive prompting method to teach your client imitation. You've noticed that whenever you try to use a physical prompt, your client resists the prompt. On your homework sheet, fill in the question, what should you do? I'll give you some time to get this question filled in. The answer to the question, what should you do, is you should express to your supervisor that your client may not do well with this prompting method. Make sure when you're communicating with your supervisor to use a healthy amount of assertiveness and be objective in your explanation. On your homework sheet, fill in the answer. You should express to your supervisor that your client may not do well with this prompting method. I'll give you some time to get this answer filled in. We will now be moving on to task list item E2, actively seek clinical direction from supervisor in a timely manner. With seeking clinical direction, let's first look over what supervisors' goals are with providing supervision. Supervisors' goals are to coordinate the delivery of high-quality ABA services, to lead in the process of creating solutions to the problems faced by clients, to mentor supervisees, to assess supervisees' performance and promote their improvement, and to maintain ethics and safety standards. It is important for technicians to be able to discriminate various situations and their importance. You should be able to distinguish between things that require immediate and urgent communication with your supervisor and things that are less urgent and you can wait to communicate about. Question. Your client, who you are currently potty training, had an accident after 2 days of being continent. How urgent is it to communicate this to your supervisor? On your homework sheet, fill in the question, how urgent is it to communicate this to your supervisor? I'll give you some time to get that question filled in. The answer to the question, how urgent is it to communicate this to your supervisor, is less urgent. You can probably wait to tell your supervisor about your client's accident until your scheduled supervision. However, if it were a recurring incident, it may merit more urgency. On your homework sheet, fill in the answer, less urgent. I'll give you some time to get that answer filled in. Question. Your client, who has been working on phase 1 of an imitation procedure for several weeks with no progress, is now imitating in the natural environment when playing with preferred items. On your homework sheet, fill in the question, how urgent is it to communicate this to your supervisor? I'll give you some time to get that question filled in. The answer to the previous question, how urgent is it to communicate this to your supervisor, is urgent. The client has been struggling with imitation, which is a very important skill, for weeks. By changing the teaching method to NET as opposed to DTT, this can possibly help the client acquire the skill, and this should be done as soon as possible. On your homework sheet, fill in the answer, urgent. I'll give you some time to get that answer filled in. Question: when you arrive at your client's house for session, it smells of alcohol and there are several cans and bottles on the table. You were informed when you began the case that there were some issues with alcoholism in the family and to always ensure that the client was safe. On your homework sheet, fill in the question, how urgent is it to communicate this to your supervisor? I'll give you some time to get this question filled in. The answer to the previous question, how urgent is it to communicate this with your supervisor, is highly urgent. As a reminder, you are a mandated reporter, and the client should never be left in an unsafe situation. In addition, you should not be in an unsafe working environment. You should immediately be contacting your supervisor in this situation. On your homework sheet, fill in the answer, highly urgent. I'll give you some time to get this answer filled in. This concludes today's training on task list items E1 and E2.